where do we go to from here as a nation? And maybe the better question would be, what is our nation's fate if we continue on this same trajectory? Let's make no mistake about it. We did not arrive at this place without certain decisions being made years ago that were completely antithetical to what America was fundamentally at that time. The performance at Super Bowl 60 reveals the line of division that is now in our country maybe as vividly as just about anything possibly could. Here's an entertainer that has won one Grammy Award, and yet he's never ranked above 85th on the Billboard charts, being spotlighted in the most watched television event of the year. Now, I know he's immensely popular among a certain audience, but his music does not appeal to the overwhelming audience of 150 million people that tuned into the biggest sporting event of the year. He was offered the opportunity to perform at the most celebrated venue in our nation. And so I think it's not only logical, but it's also responsible to ask the question, why? What was Roger Goodell telling us? And make no mistake about it, he is the one person ultimately responsible for this halftime show. What was he telling us by this ultimate deliberate assault on American values? Do you realize that the Super Bowl is the one television event every year that unifies all members of the family? Those that watch the game are the adults and the children of the family alike. And here's what our children, the sons and daughters in our nation, were deliberately exposed to. Here's what the NFL thinks is appropriate for our kids to both watch and hear. The songs that Bad Bunny performed the other night included lyrics detailing his sexual conquests, highlighting promiscuity, giving us graphic detail about the female anatomy, and also talking about sexual intercourse in an Audi automobile. And of course, all of it is being described with pure profanity. If the lyrics had been in English, do you know that fines would have already been imposed? There were no disclaimers about the vulgarity, nor were there any kind of parental advisories about the pelvic grinding and crotch grabbing posted before the performance. It's also interesting that the show was done completely in Spanish, which is definitely not American. I know we are a nation of millions of Spanish-speaking citizens, and we welcome that. But this is not a nation that speaks Spanish primarily. We are a nation whose language is English. When you don't understand what's being said, you have no idea what message is being conveyed, and that is simply unallowable. The propaganda that we have been force-fed is a false narrative. We are told that we are a nation of diversity, and while that is true, diversity is not wonderful for its own sake. Beauty and humanity come in all forms, but so does the garbage in my dumpster behind this building. So to embrace insufferable behavior based on the fact that it's different simply doesn't stand any test of logic. And yet that's exactly what we're being sold. The Washington Post said the show was filled with wholesome family values. Again, the show was choreographed with simulations of the sex act, but that's wholesome family values. Representative Jim McGovern of Massachusetts made this statement. He said, "It doesn't get any more American than this." He continued by saying, "Unity and love over division and hate. Thank you, Bad Bunny, for reminding us who we are." Let me tell you something, friends. I hate what they did and will do everything within my power to separate my family from this type of people who think that normalizing sexual promiscuity is an act of love. It's not. Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's an assault on the innocence of our children. Then, of course, there is perhaps the shrewdest politician of our time, a woman that is totally void of any moral compass. Nancy Pelosi said, as Bad Bunny showed us so beautifully at the Super Bowl, our diversity is our strength, and the only thing more powerful than hate is love. Love will help us overcome Trump's fear and division and build a beloved community rooted in liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what you call a textbook red herring argument. Donald Trump had nothing to do with this program. And liberty for all does not mean that you have license to assault the decency of traditional American values. And once again, let me emphasize, it does not give you the right to steal the virtue away from our sons and our daughters. I want to ask something of each and every one of you watching this video. I want you to do something that I have already done. Contact the FCC and file a complaint. It's time that we raise the roof and sound off against this indecency that is being shoved down our throats. Contact the FCC, and don't do it tomorrow. Do it today. I'll post their website here on the screen. Trying to gaslight us has become their new tactic. They try to gaslight good, moral Americans who oppose this mess by calling them xenophobic or racists. And I think that when we are labeled with such misrepresentations, we simply ignore them and move on. My response to those insults is simply this: call me what you will, but I cannot be quiet. Bad Bunny is a moral degenerate. His entertaining cast fall into the same category, perverts and tights. And Roger Goodell is the facilitator of it all. What will you do? Will you complain among your friends? Pastors, will you preach another sermon? Or will we as a collective take action and push back now and do so in a tangible way? I know next year I won't be watching the NFL. How about you? My name's Billy Anger, and I think it's important that you stay informed.